Hi folks, my name's John McCormack. I'm introducing a series of short videos. I'm a psychotherapist. I have worked with homeless people, people with addictions, people in Glasgow who have, broadly speaking, experienced an enormous amount of trauma. I've learned from them everything that I think is worth knowing for me. And I've taught counselling at university. I have trained addiction workers. I do group work in prisons, and the videos are the product of my wish to get the kind of knowledge and skills that people find useful. I know that people find these skills and knowledge useful, and to put it in their hands and give them the power to self-manage. That's the point of the videos. The first one, 5 minutes long, is looking at one of the big questions that people need to answer, which is, what do I actually want, and do I have permission to name what I want? And then we're going to do some more videos along these lines, so I hope you find them useful and enjoy watching them. Skills and knowledge that professionals get isn't disseminated easily to the people who could actually use it for themselves. And so that's what this video is about. My mission is the democratisation of recovery knowledge and skills. There it is. The democratisation of recovery knowledge and skills. What I mean by that is that the sort of tools that exist in psychotherapy can be made available to people to use on themselves. So the object of this video is to help you to become, if you're not already, your own therapist and solve your own problems and not need any therapy from the outside because you're completely involved in self-management. So that's the object of the exercise. And this first video, I just want to do a couple of ideas. I don't want to drown us in ideas. So the first thing we're going to look at is a wee bit of solution-focused brief therapy, which is a strength-based approach, and it's going to be embedded in trauma-informed thinking. And I've written the word there, normalise. So among the aims of any therapist is to help to normalise people's experience. So people come to see a therapist because they've got problems, and they might be suffering extreme anxiety, they might be in the grip of addiction, they might be depressed. And when you hear the person's story and you hear about their background, it's often blindingly obvious why they're suffering and in distress. And we've all been there, and who wouldn't be? And so one of the things that we try to do is to normalise it and to get people to feel reassured and say, of course you've got raging anxiety. You're going through a divorce just now. Who doesn't have raging anxiety at these times? And of course we'll try and help you with that. But what it might be useful for you to know is that that is a completely normal response. And I think that's important at this time of coronavirus. If you're feeling anxious, worried, and rightly maybe really concerned about what the future holds financially, is your job going to be available, and you might be sleepless, I think it's useful to know that that is not a sign that you might be going mad. It simply is a natural response to this horrible, horrible situation that we find ourselves in. And so in a trauma-informed sense, one of the messages to people would be, what's going on here is a sane reaction to insane circumstances. The story that you've told me about your life experiences is truly horrible experiences, and your reaction now, which might be to drink too much, to smoke too much, to generally be not functioning at your best, is completely understandable given what you've been through. And I think people find that reassuring. The problem hasn't been solved, but they find it reassuring to know that what they're experiencing is to be expected, and then we can inject some hope into the situation and say, and of course these things are treatable, and we're going to do some work together on it. And I think from a solution-focused point of view, and from any good therapy point of view or good group work, I think the first thing that we need to understand is, what do people want? So here's the thing, in the Spice Girls' words, what do you want? What do you really, really want? And I think that's quite an amusing phrase. What is it that you want? Tell me what you want, what you really, really want. That's the starting point for this video. And you, the viewer, I guess I would invite you to think, supposing this video turns out to be actually helpful, what will it have helped you with? In other words, what do you actually want? What do you need? What do you want? Will you be more confident? Will you be more relaxed? Will you be less anxious? I just think it's important that you set the criteria for success. And this is how I would start all group work. I would ask people to consider and reflect on what they really, really want from it. Now, I don't need to know what that is, but they need to know. You need to know what that is. You need to know what it is you want, because without knowing that, how will you know you've got it? You set the goal for the sort of intervention, really. And it's not my job to set the goal. And some people don't know what they want, so the first phase in the approach in a therapeutic intervention would be to help them to identify, what is it I really, really want? That's an important question, because you can lose over the years permission to have any wants and desires. There's some quite frightening stories about that. I'll tell you one. One woman who'd been involved in a coercive controlling relationship and years of abuse, she was out with her worker, and the worker said to her, "Would you like tea or coffee?" And the woman couldn't answer the question because she didn't have permission to make choices. That made me weep when I first heard it. And it just shows you that it's not always easy to be allowed to say, this is what I want, what I really, really want. It's not a flippant question.